Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Joe from GadgetryTech.com, and today we're going to review the Sabrent 4B 3.5-inch docking station. It's a USB-C enclosure. The model number is DS-SC4B, 4B for 4B. They do make a 5B version of this, which is very similar. You just get the extra drive. Obviously, it looks a little different, but overall functionality is the same. So I want to talk about the drive and a couple things. We've used this a lot. I did an unboxing video, but honestly, to save you time from watching me unbox it, the only thing that's not pictured here is the key, which is really cool. It's a little triangular key where you can lock each bay. So we're going to talk about all the features. We're going to talk about performance and thermals, construction, price, all that good stuff. So with that being said, let's talk about what you get in the box. You obviously get this giant enclosure, which, by the way, is an all aluminum enclosure. It's real metal, which I love. There's no plastic. The advantage to that, obviously, it helps with heat, but it also helps with durability. Really good build quality overall. I like this drive bay a lot. I was really excited to get this for review because I use an AMD system. I have a 16-core Ryzen 3950X. So I'm not able to take advantage of some of the Thunderbolt accessories out there. Granted, there are a couple AMD boards now with Thunderbolt. It's not an option for me in my mixed hardware use cases. So I wanted something that gave me a lot of external storage where I can swap bays out but not sacrifice performance. And a lot of USB enclosures, because they share a bus and the way their memory controller works and all that good stuff, it really kills your performance. This one, because it's USB 3.2, will in theory be able to exceed any 4 mechanical hard drives operating at the same time, as long as you have a USB 3.2 port on your computer. If you do not, that's not the end of the world. Because it's USB, it's backwards compatible. Again, I talked about mixed use cases. I love this because this does USB 3.2, 3.1, USB 3, and USB 2.0. If you can stomach the slow drive speeds, it's compatible with anything. And because it's USB, it's compatible with Windows, Mac, or Linux. So I like this because it's like a one shoe fits all type thing, or one size fits all. But when you can take advantage of the performance, it's there. So with that being said, because this is, I don't want to call it dumb, it's a dumb enclosure, meaning it doesn't have a hardware RAID controller. Hardware RAID, what that means is you can mirror drives together, you can stripe them for performance, etc. So this will not hardware join drives. Basically, it tricks your computer into thinking it's one drive when there's really two, because there's a memory controller in here writing to 2 drives, 3 or 4 at the same time. This is basically just a bunch of disks, or JBOD. JBOD has pros and cons. The big pro is you can basically hard swap any drive you want as long as you disconnect it or unmount it from the computer, but there's no corruption issues. You don't have to worry about, with RAID 0, if one drive fails, you lose the entire array and all your data's gone. This is just a bunch of disks, so you can format it, you can use different capacities, which in my case was great because I had a bunch of spare 4, 2, and 1 6 terabyte drive laying around. So we filled it up with those, and with that being said, I wasn't stuck to the smallest denominator. I got to take advantage of every drive's performance. Now, because it's USB, there are ways to trick it or do a software RAID using dynamic disks. Windows 10 does not like doing dynamic software RAIDs through the operating system when the drives are removable and on USB 3. It's designed to not work, so you can't actually set that up. So for those that got excited about this and just say, oh, I'll just make a dynamic disk and do a software RAID, it's not possible as is when you plug it in and use Windows. There are some registry hacks I'm sure you can do. You can use Linux, obviously, if you want to turn it into a RAID, but it's not designed for that. So I'm not going to go too far off the beaten path. I just want to let you know now, if you're planning on purchasing this because you want to use a Windows dynamic RAID array, whether it be 0, 1, 5, whatever, I've tried them all. They don't work because Windows doesn't do it with USB removable drives. So performance. When I filled this up, and you know what, before we talk about all the specs, let me show you how this works and how genius this design is. So I mentioned the key. There's a little door that you flip open, or a little latch, and when you do that, you can pull the entire cover off. That simultaneously ejects the drive. Now here we have a 2 terabyte enterprise drive from Western Digital. it's completely toolless. So because this is a SATA interface, you can see the SATA port in the back, and as you slide this in, or even when you open this, it's like a little arm, so it pushes the drive out, and when you push the drive in, it also pulls this latch in. So that's kind of what's going on in the background. So we're going to slide it back in. You'll see this start to close on its own. If I can just turn it a little bit, I guess. Let's see. I have to do it with the latch itself. But when you press it shut, it'll seat it in there and it locks in place. Again, no fuss or anything like that. That little silver triangular screw hole is basically if you don't want anyone to eject the drive or remove it. If you're worried about theft, you can lock that. Now, obviously, it's not this like encrypted key, or it doesn't have this crazy pattern. It's just a triangle. It's designed just to deter people from doing like a quick grab and go. But I'm sure you could figure out a way to do it if you really tried. There is another advantage to this though with security, in that it actually comes with a Kensington lock. So if you're using this in a professional environment and you don't want the entire enclosure to be walked away with, that's a second measure where you can secure it. Again, none of those are like fully foolproof, but it deters the people that are like quick grab and go, just to slow them down. So I love that the Kensington lock is there. Going back towards the front, there are 4 power buttons. So let's turn this thing on. I want to show you something really cool with this. So I guess it's on, but I never powered it up. So what happens is when the back of the enclosure has power and you press power on here, you can see the blue light turn on. Now there is a 90mm fan inside that will not run unless a drive is on. You don't have to flick the power switch on the back to get the fan to shut off, but if you have any of these drives on, just a single one, it's not a variable speed fan that I've found yet. It's also not a dynamic fan where it'll turn off if the drive temps are low enough. As soon as a drive is spinning, the fan runs at a fixed rate. Thankfully, it's not too loud because they run it at a lower RPM. Mechanical hard drives tend not to get too hot, and because the way these drives are mounted, air can flow smooth, cleanly in between each drive. Thermals are never an issue. So I have this drive turned on. Now here's what's cool. I can eject this drive, swap it out, mount it, do whatever I want, and switch it while I'm still copying this data to this drive and using it. It's a hot swappable bay, which I absolutely love. Now I'm going to install this drive again. Let's turn that one on. And as you turn this on, in Windows, it looks like you just plugged in a removable hard drive or flash drive, however you want to picture it. It just shows up as a detachable drive, which I love. And again, you don't have to use the drives you don't want to use. I'm a hardware geek and I like having control over my hardware, and the ability to turn every drive on and off simultaneously or individually is amazing. You get full control over your hardware, reducing the stress that you put on drives by running them when you don't need them. So I love that you can shut it down. When you eject the drive in Windows, these will shut off and go to sleep. So right now you can see this light flickering because it's reading some data off of it. It's a multicolor light. If I shut it down on Windows by detaching the drive or removing it, this will turn to red, indicating the drive's basically in standby. I can power it back up and it'll boot up again. So again, I love that. And it's so easy to use. You don't have to read directions. You open the latch, you put the drive in, and you close it, and boom, there it is on Windows. Now, performance-wise, it blew me away. And let's be realistic. A mechanical hard drive is not going to saturate USB 3.2. I expect the memory controller on this, basically the bus in the back that does all the emulation from USB to SATA, or the conversion so they can all talk to each other. I thought that was going to be the weak point. This isn't an inexpensive enclosure. It retails for $300. As of June 2020, you can get it for about $180. So anywhere in that price range is fine considering the performance. I was able to saturate every single drive on all 4 bays and max out the speed of what that drive is rated for. I don't have the fastest possible mechanical hard drive, so I couldn't take this thing to over a gigabit per second on mechanical write speeds. I just don't have those drives. But with that being said, I had drives running at 140 to 170 megabytes per second simultaneously across all 4, doing different things. To make sure I wasn't bottlenecking it, I was using solid state drives to copy data to them, so the source wasn't the weakness. I was running benchmarks on the hard drives to see what I could saturate the drive at, which is a really good tool to test the bus speed. And doing that for an extended period of time, I ran all these stress tests in long file copies for hours at a time, and I monitored temperatures. The hottest drive was my 4 terabyte Western Digital Black. It's an older Western Digital Black, probably about 3 or 4 years old. They tend to run warm because they're a performance-oriented drive. I was at 38 degrees C or Celsius on that drive, and the others were either 36 to 37, depending on the load. Under 40, honestly, even 42, 43 is fine. Thermally, I don't even know if it needs the fan all the time. I guess that would be my only gripe. But because the fan's always running, you're never going to have issues with temperature. And that memory controller that they use in this is so good, you don't have to worry about saturating the bus and not getting the performance that every drive is capable of if it were connected inside your computer through a SATA interface. Now, if I were to nitpick a few things on this, the only thing I did not like, but you know what, let's open this up. I obviously didn't use this. It comes with 2 cables, which is cool. They're both USB-C on one side. This enclosure on the back is USB-C and a power cord. That's it. We'll flip it around and show you, but this is what I wanted to point out. I didn't use this for a reason. The cord's too short. So if you're using this external enclosure on a laptop, it shouldn't be a big deal because this can reach a laptop. If you have a desktop like this, as you can tell, it doesn't actually make it to the top of the case. So it didn't have any use. I ended up using a USB-C, which is also included. Let's turn this sideways real quick. And these drives I'm using for testing right now, so I'm going to probably unplug this in a moment. So let's put the sticker here. So it came with a USB-C to USB-A, also extremely short. I just purchased a USB 3.0 extension cable, which can still handle the USB 3.0 or 3.2 speeds. Just because it says USB 3.0 doesn't mean the cable can't exceed that. As long as the gauge is good enough, I guess it's fine. But so using the extension cable didn't make a difference, and now I can have the cable comfortably plugged into the computer and not screw up my speeds. You can see the back of the design here. There's a mechanical switch, so if you have to do a kill switch and really shut them down, you can, in addition to those digital momentary press buttons up front. You can see the Kensington lock here on the bottom left, USB-C, and then your power input. Now that DC power brick is actually really good. It can consume up to 2 amps on the AC side for the input, and it's auto switching, so it will work internationally. It's 110 to 240 volt, no problem. The output is 12 volts at 6.5 amps. That is a beefy power supply. With that being said, if you had multiple 6, 8, 10 terabyte drives, they can be a little bit more power hungry. I have no worry about that power supply being able to spin those up, no problem. So the reason why I like this, guys, again, it opens up a whole world of opportunities for me for editing, because I can rip all of my content on here, and if I have to travel, I have a quick external backup of everything. I can leave my tower at home and I don't have to worry about where I'm getting high performance drives. Meanwhile, if I'm storing them locally, I can have this plugged into my desktop and I don't see a difference of performance with mechanical drives. Now they do, Sabrent does make SSD capable enclosures. This obviously is not one of them, but if you need the speed of 4 SSDs in an enclosure, you can. Those are available. Some of them are actually cheaper just because of the way they're designed. This is for the people who just need gobs of storage on mechanical hard drives and you don't want to sacrifice performance. There are cheaper enclosures out there. However, the way this thing's built, it's all metal, it's solid, it's heavy as hell. I don't notice the fan over my computer. The fan's on right now and it really doesn't make any difference louder than what a DVR would do in a cable box, or if you have a surveillance system. You know, all those fans are louder than this, even under load. So with that being said, guys, I've really enjoyed this product. If you need a high quality external enclosure kit and you don't need the logic of having RAID, you don't want to deal with that, you just want something flexible where you throw disks in, you take them out, you have 10 hard drives but you have nowhere to put them, this is a great option to give you that flexibility. So with that being said, again, $180. It can retail for as high as $300, but I don't think you'll ever pay full price for it. They're usually on a really good sale. But Sabrent made an amazing product. This has been my favorite Sabrent product I've ever reviewed, because I mean, they make good stuff. This is like cream of the crop level as far as external drives. I have like 10 different external drive enclosure systems that I've used between the years of different applications, and nothing's come close to how well this drive works, or this enclosure works. So with that being said, guys, I hope you found this helpful. I'm going to put a link up in the description, so if you want to purchase this, you can support the channel. It'll just refer you to Amazon so you can find it. If you're thinking of picking one up, feel free to use the link. If not, you can also buy it on the Sabrent website. It's available there. I'll also put that in the description. And I hope you guys found this helpful. We have a lot of great tech stuff coming out soon, so please keep an eye out. Please subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. We have more content coming. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment, and I'll see you next time. Later.